Hello scientists, this is the walkthrough for Take Home Physics Lab 1. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. This will be my data collection system. I'm going to title this Physics Lab 001. And this will be my data collection sheet. It's good to have your data collection system set up before you start the lab. I'm going to make two different tables. One's going to be for my low ramp, and I'm going to create a column here for my different distances: 15 centimeters, 30 centimeters, 45, 60, and 75 centimeters. And then I'm going to create three columns for my time measurements: time 1, time 2, and time 3. Notice how I'm putting the units in parentheses. That way I don't have to write out all the units every time. The last column will be my average time. And I'm going to put a formula in here. Cool thing about Google Sheets is you can make formulas. If you press equal and average and then highlight all the cells you want to take an average of, then no matter what I put in those cells, it's going to calculate the average, which is super cool. Right now it shows an error, but that's because there's no data in those cells yet. I'm going to copy and then paste that table to create another one, and this will be my table for my high ramp. Alright, let's get our materials ready to go. You'll need a ruler. The small units are the centimeters. Make sure that ruler has a groove in it so that the marble can roll down the ruler. You also need a roll of tape. There's a roll of clear plastic tape. And you need a small glass marble. And I like to use that roll of tape as like a holder for the marble so it doesn't roll away and I don't lose it. You're also going to need 6 dominoes. I find that 6 dominoes works best for this lab. And then also you'll need a pair of scissors. That's to cut the tape. And something to keep time with. I'm going to use my iPad. You can use a stopwatch, a computer, or even a phone. And if you're fancy like me, this isn't required, but I'm going to use my bubble level just to make sure that my surface is level. Okay, now let's do our experimental setup. I'm going to start with 3 dominoes for my low ramp. I found that 3 dominoes works the best. Put that right at the edge of my level surface. Get my ruler, set up my ramp, and then with my finger I'm going to hold the position of the end of the ramp because I want to measure 10 centimeters from the end of the ramp, and that's going to be where my starting line is going to be. Let me grab my tape, and then also I need some scissors. I'm going to cut some strips of tape that I will use as distance markers. Each strip of tape is going to be about 1.5 inches, just like that. And I'm going to cut enough strips of tape for my starting marker, the marker at 15 centimeters, the marker at 30 centimeters, 45 centimeters, 60 centimeters, and 75 centimeters. Put my tape and my scissors away. Keep the tape out to hold my marble. And I'm going to put that first piece of tape 10 centimeters from the end of my ruler. That's going to be my starting line. And then I'm going to measure from my starting line 15 centimeters, place another strip of tape. And then 15 centimeters from that will be my 30 centimeter mark. Notice that those strips of tape are evenly spaced. 15 more centimeters, that'll be 45 centimeter mark. 15 more centimeters, this will be my 60 centimeter mark. And then 15 more centimeters, I just barely made it. It's going to be my 75 centimeter mark. Cool, so all my distance markings are done. I can set my ramp back up. And you don't have to do this, but if you have a pen, you can go ahead and label those different distance markers. So this first one will be my starting line, and then I have my 15 centimeter mark, my 30 centimeter mark, 45 centimeter mark, 60 centimeters, and 75 centimeters. And now I need to get my timing device, which in this case will be my iPad. Get that set up, ready to go, easily accessible. Get my marker, and now I'm going to roll that marble from the very top of the ramp, and I'm not going to push it, I'm just going to roll it. And I'm going to measure the time it takes to go from the starting line to that first 15 centimeter marker. I also have my Google Sheet here, and I'll be entering my data. If you don't have a computer to enter your data, you can just use a notebook or a piece of paper. That works too. Okay, again, second trial. Okay, that one was about 0.34 seconds. I'll enter that data into my Google Sheet. And one more trial. All right, so I have my 3 times for 0 to 15 centimeters. I know how many seconds it takes to go from 0 to 15 centimeters. Next, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do time measure from the start to the 30 centimeter mark. So here's the time lapse of me doing that. Then I'm going to go from 0 to 45 centimeters. 3 trials, 0 to 45 centimeters. 0 to 60 centimeters. How long does that take? And I'll do 3 trials. Okay, and last one, 0 to 75 centimeters. How long does that take? I'll start the time as soon as the marble passes the starting line and end it when it passes the 75 centimeter mark. And I'm going to do it all again, but this time with a higher ramp. So I'm going to get 3 more dominoes. I'm going to double the height of my ramp. That's going to make it twice as steep. There we go. So that's 6 dominoes. And I'm going to take measurements from the starting line to the 15 centimeter mark. See how long that takes. So starting line to 15 centimeters. Okay, 3 more trials, 0 to 30. 3 more trials, starting line to the 45 centimeter mark. 3 more trials, starting line to the 60 centimeter mark. And last trial, starting line to the 75 centimeter mark. How much time does that take? Here we go. And that's it. When you're done, take all that tape off your table so your family doesn't get mad at you, and pack all your stuff back inside your physics kit so you don't lose it. Give your bubble level back to whoever you borrowed it from, and then put your timing device away. Here's my data collection sheet. Let's do some analysis. I'm going to add the amount of dominoes I used for each ramp. 3 dominoes, 6 dominoes, just for future reference if I want to replicate this experiment. And I'm going to insert a row here just for my 0 centimeters, just so that 0 seconds to go 0 centimeters. This will make our graphs a little bit nicer. So again, do that for the other table as well. Insert a row for the 0 centimeter mark. Now let's make a chart. Let's make our line graphs. Press insert and chart, and let me resize this just so that everything looks nice and neat. I need some data to go on this chart. First, I'm going to change this to a line chart. And for my data range, that's going to be my distance values from 0 to 75. And for my x-axis values, those are going to be my times. Time is going to be on the x-axis. So let me select all of my times. Press OK, and voila, there's my line graph. But none of the axes are labeled, and the chart's not labeled, and that's not right. So let me put some titles. The chart title will be, let's do distance versus time graph. And in parentheses, I'll indicate that this is the low ramp. All right, and then let's title those axes. Horizontal is my average time in seconds. The vertical axis, which is the y-axis, would be my distances in centimeters. And let's resize that chart title just so I can see all the words. 12-point font. Cool, perfect. Let's do the same thing for our high ramp data now. Insert another chart. And let's resize it. Put it into position. Make everything nice and neat. As neat as possible. Alright, again, I'm going to make a line chart. My x-axis data are my times. And then my series would be my y-axis data. Should be my distances. Press OK. There's our line graph. No labels though, so let's label the chart title. Let's label the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. So go to Customize. And then go to Chart and Axis Titles. Let's label that chart. Distance versus time graph. And in parentheses, I'll say this is our high ramp. And close the parentheses. Make it 12-point font so I can see everything. All right, horizontal axis title. That'll be our average time in seconds. Always make sure that you indicate what units you're using. Is it minutes, hours? No, it's seconds. Same thing for distance. We want distance, centimeters, that'll be our vertical axis. And voila, we have two graphs. Now what about the slope? Well, with Sheet you can calculate the slope. Start a new formula, equals slope, and then put in your y data, comma, x data, close the parentheses, and there's your slope, and that is the velocity of your marble. Wow, how about that? 35.6 centimeters per second. And then you can do the same thing here, equals slope, highlight your y data, comma, highlight your x data, press equals. I don't want that many decimal points. Let's just do 1 decimal point. And notice we have a quicker velocity for a higher ramp. And that makes sense. Almost twice the velocity. And that's it. Good work. See ya, scientists.